You are the beautiful community, and I have not been speaking with you for a day or two because I've been too sick to do that. But let's gather together in this room to which we repeatedly come back to learn and to be surprised about this world we inhabit and say a few things about Israel's attack on Iran. Now, we live in a world of frenemies, a world where countries are often simultaneously allies and enemies. And we also live among remnants of the post World War II and post 1989 global order. Many of the political materials from it, many of the jurisprudential materials from it are with us, but often in the form of ruins, which are often more present in rhetoric than they are in, reality, in friction with what's actually going on in the world. And that's why, in an extraordinary way, when Emmanuel Macron recently made a statement about France's position on the Middle East, talking about a two-state solution, talking about containing Iran and so on, he sounded like a politician from the 90s, teleported into a world that had changed. And so he was speaking to a world that was no longer there. And that's a critical problem for technocratic centrism today, because it's our only responsible alternative to authoritarian populism. And yet, it's an alternative that's itself failing. So we need a new alternative. Because as I said of Macron's statement cheekily on Twitter, it was like somebody standing at 20 to midnight on April the 12th, 1912, on the Titanic and making a statement about how they are against the existence of icebergs. It's lack of agency in that statement. And it's platitudinously sort of disconnected from sort of a cause and effect understanding of who could do what about the problems we're addressing. Now, let's go country by country quickly. Trump was against this, but he realized he couldn't do much about it. And after it happened, of course, the United States knew quite a bit ahead of time that it would happen. But after it happened, Trump took a look, felt it looked kind of successful, and then wanted to take advantage of it by saying that he backed it, but he was backing it after the event. That's an expression of Trump's spectacular strategic and even tactical incapacity. He's primarily serving his own narcissistic and self-enrichment purposes. Now, Israel. And of course, everything as a result of that Trump does undermines not just US standing in the world, but in virtue of undermining US standing in the world, creates enormous geopolitical uncertainty because of just how powerful the United States still is. It's profoundly destabilizing for the world when there is uncertainty, not just about whether the United States is an effective actor, but even about what it might be trying to do at all. Israel. I think the most important thing to understand about Israel's action is that it is as much aimed at regime change in Iran as it is at the delimitation of Iran's nuclear program. You don't want to say that this is overwhelmingly about the delimitation of the nuclear program. This is a gambit that's about tilting Iran closer toward revolution. The trouble, of course, is that Israel's government has no strategic vision for the region. And therefore, what it's good at is tactical victories backed by enormous military and intelligence might against its enemies, but in a way that's not tied to any strategic purpose. Israel's actions are not tied to a clear picture of how they impact the region and whether that in the end benefits or harms Israel. We've seen the same in Gaza, an extraordinary degree of loss of life for no strategic purpose. Russia-Ukraine. Ukraine does not benefit when major events occur in the Middle East because it loses attention and it might even lose arms supplies. But on the Russian side, I wouldn't get over dramatic about this. Don't overestimate Russia's strategic alliance with Iran. Iran experienced over the past months a calamitous devastation of its regional militia and proxy system, and Russia did not come to Iran's aid all that much. When we talk about Iran itself, it's very important not to trample on country experts' toes, because we live in an epistemic catastrophe. It's very important to try to be as tidy as we can. But what's clear is that in discourse about Iran, there is one pole that construes Iran as a peaceful defensive actor, and another pole that construes Iran as a hegemonic actor set on evicting Israel and the United States. My microphone is on, from the region. One observation, it's quite elementary, that's worth making, is that the two are not incompatible. You can be engaged in a hegemonic project for purposes you sincerely conceive of as defensive. And indeed, we've seen some such presentation in Mr. Putin's hands, right? He's engaged in various kinds of imperial, grotesque imperial escalation and aggression for purposes that he himself understands to be wholly defensive. We're going to talk more soon. Lots of love.